We have this idea that monsters live in the shadows, right? But today, we're going to talk about something way more unsettling. The fact that some of history's most notorious killers didn't live in the shadows at all. They lived right next door, hiding their horrors behind a mask of just shocking normalcy. It's a question we don't really think about much, but it gets to the absolute heart of what we're exploring today. Because that line between a friendly face and a hidden monster, well, it can be terrifyingly thin. I mean, the level of deception we're talking about is almost impossible to wrap your head around. Just try to imagine this for a second. A beloved children's entertainer, making kids laugh by day, while beneath his very own house, a crawlspace was slowly becoming a mass grave. And this isn't fiction from some horror movie. This is the reality we're diving into. Or how about the person you would hire to protect your family, who then uses that exact expertise to become your absolute worst nightmare? Yeah, this is the world of killers with double lives. So let's start with our first case, Jeffrey Dahmer. He was an absolute master of what psychologists call compartmentalization, the ability to build a wall inside your mind, completely sealing off one part of your life from another, no matter how extreme it gets. And the disconnect is, well, it's jarring. At the chocolate factory where he worked, his coworkers just saw a quiet, reliable guy who always paid his rent on time. But behind the door of his apartment was a laboratory of pure horror, where he was drilling into skulls and dissolving human remains in barrels of acid. And the truly chilling thing is that he slotted murder into his daily schedule like it was just another chore. It wasn't some chaotic frenzy. It was a planned, methodical part of his routine, literally sandwiched between waking up in the morning and clocking in for his shift at work. This psychological split, man, it went incredibly deep. We're talking about a guy who could have a human head in his refrigerator right next to some leftover pizza and then get on the phone and have a completely normal, pleasant conversation with his grandmother about her flowers. The juxtaposition is just chilling. Okay, so Dahmer hid his dark side. But what happens when the killer doesn't just hide their darkness, but actively weaponizes their normal side? Well, that brings us to Ted Bundy. He didn't just hide his evil, he used his charm and his good looks as the perfect lure. Bundy had a calculated playbook. First, he'd build trust by doing things like volunteering at a suicide prevention hotline. Can you believe that? Literally talking people out of taking their own lives. Then he'd exploit that trust. He'd appear helpless, using a fake cast to get women to lower their guard and help him, leading them straight into his trap. And to the people closest to him, he was the perfect boyfriend. A handsome, intelligent law student. He would take his long-term girlfriend's daughter to the zoo and help with her homework, all while he was secretly hunting, attacking, and hiding the evidence of his crimes. The woman he lived with slept next to him for years, and she had no idea. But the deception, believe it or not, could go even further. And John Wayne Gacy, well, he represents the ultimate nightmare. The killer who isn't just hiding in plain sight, but is actually a celebrated pillar of the community. I mean, the sheer breadth of his public life was staggering. He was Pogo the Clown at kids' parties. He was a successful contractor. He was an active local politician who even got his photo taken with the First Lady. All the while, the crawlspace underneath his quiet suburban home was becoming a mass grave. And the audacity, it's just stunning. When the smell of his 26 victims buried under the house became overwhelming, he didn't panic. No, he just calmly told his concerned neighbors it was, quote, just a sewer problem. The most horrific truth imaginable, hidden behind the most mundane excuse. These cases, as horrific as they are, they're not just isolated anomalies. They actually reveal a terrifying pattern about the very nature of evil and how it operates in our world. I mean, just consider Dennis Rader, the BTK killer. This guy was so deeply woven into the fabric of his community, it's almost unbelievable. He installed security systems in people's homes. He was the president of his church council, a Boy Scout leader. He was even the city compliance officer, the very guy who'd ticket you for letting your grass grow too long. And this all leads us to a core concept we can call the hunting ground principle. The idea is this. For these killers, their normal lives weren't just a mask. Their jobs, their social circles, their daily routines, these were the very systems they used to find and select their victims. Gacy hired his. Bundy found his on college campuses. Normalcy was their most effective tool.
And that is the most frightening part of all this. It isn't just the violence itself. It's how seamlessly they plan their horrific crimes around work schedules, family dinners, and community events with this cold, calculated precision.
So the inescapable takeaway here is pretty stark. Monsters don't always look like monsters. Evil doesn't wear a sign. It can be the person who holds the door open for you, the one who sits in the cubicle next to you, or the neighbor who wishes you a good morning every single day. So the next time you share a polite smile with a stranger or a neighbor, maybe you'll ask yourself, what kind of life are they really living when they go home and close that door?